Hi, welcome back. This is Beersborn. We're going to continue our look at Construct 3. We want to log back into the software. You can do that through the Google Classroom. You can find the link in the link construct assignment. Click on the link, enter in the access code. And what we want to do is open up the file that we started in the last video. So I'm going to click on the File button up in the top right. I'm going to find my file and open it up. And once you have it open, you should have these two tabs. Layout, we see our little character there that we put in last time, and the event sheet. What we're going to do today is make it so our character can move around the screen so that our player can control the character's movement. The way that we do that is we have to insert a new object. So right-click anywhere in the white space of your layout and click on Insert New Object. Now this time, instead of entering in a sprite, we're going to put in some way of controlling the inputs in the game. If you scroll down about halfway, you'll see a whole section of inputs. You can have gamepad, keyboard, mouse, or touch. We're going to use keyboard for now. So double click on keyboard. What that does is it puts keyboard controls into our game. Now let's go over to the event sheet. We haven't really looked at the event sheet yet, but this is where all of the rules for our game are. It's where the coding logic is. To use the event sheet, we have to add events. If you look up in the top left corner, you'll see Add Event. Let's click on that. An event is when something happens in our game. And when you click on Add Event, we have different options for what we want to use for this event. We have System, Keyboard, Main Character. We're going to use the keyboard for this. So double click on Keyboard. And this has a bunch of options for what do we want to have the keyboard do? And the one that we're going to use is Key is Down. Now, don't do Key Code is Down. That one's more complicated. We want to do just Key is Down. And if you double click on that, what that does is it checks to see if a certain key on your keyboard is being pressed down. And you can choose whatever key you want for this. You just click on where it says click to choose. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose the key that we want to use to move our character to the right. So what button do you want to have your player press to move your character to the right? Some people like to use the right arrow key. Some people like to use the D key. I'm going to use the D. So I press D on my keyboard, and I press OK. And I press Done. And this is what your event sheet will look like. On the left side, it says, okay, well, if the keyboard is being pressed down, then what we can do is we can add an action. We can make something happen. So click on Add Action. You have the option for System or Main Character. We want the action to happen to our main character, right? So I'm going to double click on Main Character. And what this does is it opens up a menu of all the different things that you can have happen when the player presses the D key. You can have your character rotate. You can have your character change colors. You can have your character turn invisible. All these different objects or different options for things that you can have happen to your character. What we want to do is move our character, right? So if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see an option for Move at Angle. Click on Move at Angle. Now this asks you two things. What angle do you want to move your character at? And the distance that you want to move it. The angle is the direction. Now the way the construct uses directions, it uses numbers. And the basic idea is 0 moves your character to the right and 180 moves your character to the left. So since we want to move our character to the right, the angle of 0 is perfect. We'll just leave it at 0. Distance is how fast you want your character to move. 1 is pretty slow. That's 1 pixel, which isn't much. I'd recommend maybe turning that up. We can always change this later depending on how fast or slow you want your character to be. I'm going to do 8, just kind of an arbitrary number, but try 8. I think 8's a good speed. We can always change it later. And click Done. So now what we have is on the left, it says when the keyboard D key is being pressed down. On the right, it says the main character is going to move 8 pixels at the angle of 0, and 0 is to the right. Let's test it out. If we press play, and I hold down my D key, my character moves to the right. Perfect. I mean, kind of perfect. It doesn't animate, right? The character's just kind of sliding across the screen. I can't move left or up or down or anything, but I can move to the right. It's a good start. Let's add another event so we can move our character to the left. I'm going to click on Add Event. I'm going to go to the keyboard. I'm going to click on Key is Down. And then I'm going to click to choose which key I want to use to move my character to the left. You get to decide. Could be the left arrow, could be the A key, I'm going to use A on mine and click OK. Click Done. Now again, we're going to add an action. So for the keyboard A is down, the action that I want to have happen with my main character is I'm going to have my main character move at an angle. So double click move at angle. Now for this one, moving to the left, the number that we have to use for that angle is 180. The reason why it's 180 is a full circle is 360 degrees. And we don't have to get too deep into it, but the way the construct works is like 0 is to the right, 180 is the opposite of that to the left, 90 is down, 270 is up. I can always show you those numbers later too if you forget about that, but 180 is to the left. And the distance, I would recommend doing the same speed that you did for the D key. So I'm using 8. You might have a different number there. Click Done. Let's test it out. Press the play button. Now our character moves to the right when we press D or right, to the left when we press A or left. It's good. Now our character doesn't flip to face the direction that they're moving. That's okay. We'll fix that later. It's a good start. Now, because our game is a top-down game, we want to move our character up and down as well, right? So we're going to add an event to move our character up. Again, I'm going to add event, click on keyboard, go to key is down, click to choose which key you want to have to move your character up. I'm using W. Click Done. Add action, main character, move at angle. The number for up is 270. I'm going to set the distance to 8. And click Done. Test it out. I can move left, I can move right, I can move up. I can move at an angle too. But I can't move down. So let's do an event with the keyboard. Key is down. And click to choose which key you want to use for down. I'm going to use S. Click OK. Click Done. And add action. Main character, move at angle, and the number for down is 90. And distance, I'm going to keep it the same as my other ones at 8, and click Done. So now I have 4 different keyboard commands, right? D, A, W, S. Yours might be different. Each one moves at a different angle at 8 pixels. And if I test it out, my character can move freely around the screen. My player can control the character and move them however they want. Perfect. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so that our character will flip to face the direction that they're moving. So when they're moving to the right, they face to the right. When they're moving to the left, they face to the left. And this is it's pretty simple. What we want to do is add more actions. For each one of these things, we can add other actions to it. You see where it says like keyboard D is down and there's an option to add another action. Same for A and W and S. What we're going to do is for A, when we move our character to the left, I'm using the A key, you might have the left arrow. We're going to add an action to flip our character. We're going to mirror our character so they're facing the opposite direction. So I added action, went to my main character, and if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see these options for appearance. One of them says set mirrored. Mirrored will just flip it left and right. So if I click on set mirrored, we have the option to make it either mirrored or not mirrored. Mirrored means it'll be reversed. So I'm going to click on mirrored and click Done. So now when I press the A, he'll flip around. Let's try it out. To the right, stays to the right. To the left, now he's facing to the left. Now the only thing is now he's stuck to the left, right? We have to set it so it's not mirrored when I'm moving to the right. So I'm going to go to add action. For the D key in this case, so I'm going to key is down, D. I'm going to go to the main character. I'm going to go to set mirrored. I'm going to make it not mirrored. Let me go through that one more time. Under the key D is down, I'm going to add a new action for the main character. I'm going to go to set mirrored. I'm going to have it not mirrored. Click Done. Now, it flips when I'm going to the left, flips when I'm going to the right. Perfect. We don't really have to worry about up and down because, they'll just face whatever direction they're moving when they're moving up and down. So we can just leave the up and down as is, but that looks pretty good. Now, if you ever want to adjust stuff, say you want to make your character faster or slower, you can always change stuff that you've made. If you just double click on something, it opens up the options again. So say you want to make it go faster or slower, you can change the distance number. Say you messed up the angles, you can always go back and change them. Perfect. We'll leave it at that. In the next video, we'll take a look at how we can animate the character so that when they're running, it actually looks like the running animation is making them move forward. Thank you.